Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Emma, and I'm just going to go over the books that I read in February. So first I'm going to start off with all of the books that I started and didn't finish, kind of like a temporary DNF. So yeah, all three of these books I think I want to pick up again. I just really wasn't feeling it then. That kind of rhymed. The first one is Outlawed by Anna North. This follows a girl who is kind of like, I don't know, in her town she's like kind of accused of witchcraft type stuff because she can't have kids. And she ends up joining a convent, and then she ends up joining a gang of like outlaws and stuff. I got almost halfway through. I just really wasn't in the mood for it. Reading about all of the women's struggles with having kids was kind of sad a little bit, and I just didn't really feel like reading it at the moment. I also didn't really know where the plot was going. I kind of just felt like, like they were planning this sort of thing, and I was like, okay, I just wasn't really drawn to it that much. Next was American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I know, shocker. Like actually shocker that I didn't continue reading it. I think it just kind of threw me off because up until now I realized that I've read like only children's books by Neil Gaiman except for like Norse mythology. And so I started reading this and I was like, well damn. And it's not like I'm like, oh my god, I can't read that. It was just like a shock because it was like his writing but not in kid form, and it was weird. There's also just some things in the story that are kind of like, meh, I don't know. But I am really interested. Like I can't say what I'm interested in and why I want to keep reading because they're all like spoilers, but I do like the sort of nod to Norse mythology that's in here. I think it's fun. I don't know like how detailed it gets, if it gets more like clear or something. I don't know. Next up was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I got to page 44. I wanted to finish this before the end of February because I have like readathon stuff going on this month, which there'll be a TBR video for that because of the readathon and such. So look out for that later this week. I wasn't able to finish this in time, and I kind of just also wasn't feeling it. I don't really want to hear everything from Victor's point of view. I don't know, Victor just kind of creeps me out, and I think he should because I'm pretty sure he's like it's Victor Frankenstein, like he's the doctor. Yeah? Either way, like, I don't know, just some of the things he says like sort of creep me out. I really can't explain it other than that they just do. Which I don't know if it's purposeful or not. If it is, like, bravo, but if it's not, like, he's a creep. I have no evidence, but he's a creep. I mean, he built a person, but from what I've read so far. Okay, so now let's get into the books that I actually did read. First up is Envelope Poems by Emily Dickinson. This is a collection of her poems that are they're like on fragments of pieces of paper, and they're unfinished, they're not polished, there are words stacked above each other that are like alternate choices. The way this book is set up is actually pretty cool. It has like the actual picture of the things, the pieces of paper or the pieces of the envelopes, and then it has it like typed out so that you could see it better, or just read it better if you can't read her cursive, which I'll tell you sometimes it's a little bit difficult. But yeah, it's really cool because you're able to see how her mind works, and you're able to see like these are the words that she's not sure about. These are the words that she's like questioning and choosing which one would work best and stuff like that. And so you can also read the poem like multiple times with each alternate word choice, and it's really interesting and it's really fun. But because it had that unfinished aspect, I was a little bit confused. Just like I was just struggling a little bit because I mean, I couldn't really get her full meaning because I was like, I don't entirely know what you're saying because I don't know which words you were going with. And they kind of have different meanings. But overall, I enjoyed it. I had fun, and I got another collection of her poems. And so I'll be able to like read her more finished work. And so I think that'll help that. Next up is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I really liked this. I had so much fun with it. It kept me interested. Like, basically any free time I had, I was like, oh, let's listen to that. Yeah. If you don't know, These Violent Delights is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it is set in Shanghai, and it's also set in like 40s? 20s? One of those. So Juliet is from Shanghai, and she is the Scarlet Gang, and Roma is Russian, and he like immigrated, and so did his family. It's kind of like a what is it? Territorial wars sort of thing, but also like drugs. And he's part of the White Flowers. But yeah, so there's that whole like gang dynamic and like wanting to be the top dog when it comes to selling drugs because you want your drugs to be bought more than the other person's drugs. In the original Romeo and Juliet, why were the Montagues and the Capulets, like why were they fighting? I don't even remember. If you know the answer, I'll probably look it up after this, but I have no idea why in the original Romeo and Juliet they fought. Also, oh my god, I felt so freaking stupid. So I was watching Criminal Minds, you know. And if you've seen Criminal Minds, then you know that at the beginning and end of each episode, there's a quote by someone. So I was watching a Criminal Minds episode, and then at the end, it was Reed. He read the quote, "These violent delights come to violent ends," or it's something like that. I don't even remember the actual quote. These violent delights. And I'm pretty sure the next book is like, These Violent Ends or something, or it's something along those lines. And I was like, how did I not even realize that? I felt so ashamed. But also, I didn't really vibe with Romeo and Juliet when I read it like freshman year of high school. So I'm also not surprised that I didn't remember it, you know. I think just the more I think about it, the more I like it. She was talking about how she had lived in America. I got a little bit confused on the timeline, like she was born in Shanghai and then she studied in America, and then she came back, and then she went back to America, and then she came back. I don't remember. I might have to reread it at some point. Maybe I'll get a hard copy, because I really liked it. I really liked it. Benedict and Marshall, they're just like the comedic duo, like Marshall just being like insanity and Benedict just being like that monotone, sarcastic dude, but also like hilariously funny. We love it! Benedict and Marshall, it was great because I think Benvolio and Mercutio? Mercutio. I don't know if I said that right. But I think those were the things, the characters that, you know what I mean? But yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun reading it. The next book I read was Friday Night Lights by H.G. Bissinger, and I read this for school, and I did not enjoy it. Next up, I read Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. Surprisingly enough, I gave this 3 stars. Which also still isn't a bad rating. I need to stress that that is not a bad rating. I just didn't love it. Here's the thing. The world building and everything, just like Neil Gaiman just comes up with the most random shit, and it's so good and it's so interesting, and I had a lot of fun following the 2 main characters. Was his name Richard? Yeah, Richard Mayhew and Dor are like the 2 main characters that you follow, and it's just they're really interesting, and I had a lot of fun with it. I just didn't fall in love with it like I do with other like 4-star books, and so I just bumped it down to 3 stars. I just wasn't entirely feeling it. 3 stars is still a good rating though. It's definitely a good book. I think I'm also just like getting into adult fantasy. Is this fantasy? I mean, like, it's like urban fantasy, more on the fantasy side, but like I feel like it's not even fantasy, it's just like whack. But that's not a genre, so it's really like a journey sort of book, a quest sort of thing, and that was just really fun. But overall, it's really good. I just didn't vibe with it as much. Next up is Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I loved this book. I loved it so much. And one thing that I've started to realize with books that I absolutely love is like the minute I close it, or sometimes even halfway through the book, I'm like, I want to reread this. Just immediately. I didn't because, I don't know. But it's one of those books where it's like immediately I'm like, oh yes, I will so reread this in the future because I want to. It is about a Chinese American family in the 1970s living in like a small town, and their oldest daughter, Lydia, is found dead in a lake. That's not a spoiler, it's on the back and it's like the first sentence. Yeah, and so it's kind of their family like spiraling after all of that, and then also you get to see a lot of the before. You get to see when the two parents met. You get to see when the brother was like born-ish. Wait, do you? I don't remember. You get to see when he was like a kid, and then when Lydia was born, and then when Hannah was born. I don't even know if you get to see that. I think you just like pop back into this perspective. And just the family dynamics, reading about that was so fun. Like, and there's a lot going on, and like there are things in this family that are fucked up. But it's just so interesting to read, and I don't know how to describe. It's like a slice of life sort of book, except like a really big slice of a lot of lives. And the last book that I read this month is The Night Circus, and I haven't like officially written down a rating yet because I haven't written it in my bullet journal yet, but it's a 5-star read. There were a couple points throughout the middle where I was kind of like, I don't know, man. But overall, I freaking loved it. It's so atmospheric, and I love the little parts that are like, is it third person when they say you? I don't remember. I think so. And I can't remember the last time I read that in a book that wasn't poetry, and usually the you in poetry is talking about like some asshole that was rude to them, like you, but not the reader you. This is the reader you. But only for certain parts. Like the whole book isn't like that. I don't think I could handle that. I think I'd feel really awkward. But this book follows two like magicians. Why can't I speak? What are their names? Marco and Celia. And they both kind of end up in this circus called the Night Circus, or Le Cirque du Rêve. And it's just completely magical and amazing. And basically they're kind of like, for a while they're kind of like battling or whatever each other, just through the circus, through like showing off their skills, and slowly they start to fall in love with each other, and there's that romance. I didn't really enjoy the romance in this. I mean, definitely near the end is when I started to get more into it, but I don't know, throughout the whole time I just wasn't as interested in their storyline as I was in Poppet, Widget, and Bailey's storyline. I thought that was so good, and oh my god, I absolutely adored the ending. I thought it was amazing. And I'm really happy with like what went on with them and how that worked out. I thought it was really interesting. And yeah, so like definitely throughout the book I wasn't like a biggest fan of the romance, or I wasn't interested by it. It's not that I disliked it or didn't like it, I just wasn't like, I didn't care that much. Like, oh, they're like star-crossed lovers-ish. I don't care. And then I was like, oh, I kind of care a little bit now. But overall, just the magical aspects of this, and then specifically Bailey just being absolutely in love with the circus, and just like feeling like it is his actual home as opposed to where he actually lives and where his family is. It's just like, it's such a sweet and sad thing to see described on a page. So these are the books that I read in February, not including Friday Night Lights because I don't care about that book, and These Violent Delights because I don't have a physical copy and I really do care about that book. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please give it a like and comment down below if you've read any of these books or if you're planning on reading them soon. I'd love to know. I will see you guys next time.